It's time for Grizz Beat, a full court press of highlights, insights, news, and scoops covering the Grizzlies and the NBA. Catch up each week on the latest Grizz buzz with regional and national insiders locked in on our squad. Running point from Grind City Media Studios, our host, Jarvis Greer.
And welcome into 191 Beale Street. Yeah, this is the home of Grind City Media and Grizz Beat. Of course, I'm Jarvis Greer. We got a tremendous group of analysts par excellence here with us today, as always on Grizz Beat. Let's go ahead and start it out. DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal, the Grizz Beat Grizzlies beat reporter. How's it going, D-Mike?
It's going great.
All right, what do you go by, D-Mike? DeMichael?
D-Mike is the casual. I like D-Mike. You know, I've been getting called D-Mike since middle school. And yes,
There
sir.
you go.
Yes, sir. It put a little pep in my step.
We gotta hit it right.
That's what the people call me. You know,
DC,
DeMichael is
did
more
anybody
like
ever call
when
you-
I put my suit on.
Oh, okay.
You know, but D-Mike is like you chill. We just sitting back. Like, what's up, D-Mike? You
We
know?
go with D-Mike. I know D-Money's got it, but I can see some dollar signs in there somewhere, too. And also, as always, from Grind City Media, the guru of Grind City Media himself, the great Michael Wallace, as my grandson likes to call him. And have you internalized the fact that the Grizzlies are in the offseason now? It's taken me a while.
Yeah, it's taking me a while too. I'm like in, what do you have it when you're in rehab and you know, it's
You
like
got withdrawals.
withdrawals, man, because it's like all this time like you have
Yeah.
now, and you're not running back to the arena, you're not smelling the gym, you're not seeing the fans. It's like, man, I need to drive somewhere. Where's the closest team that's still playing, man? I got to get back into this.
Yeah, well, the playoffs are going on now. We'll talk about that a little bit later in Grizz Beat. But right now, yes, it is the offseason. The Grizzlies, as you know, have made a change in head coach. They took the interim tag off Tuomas Iisalo, and he is now the main man to sit in the first chair for the Grizzlies. He was named the interim head coach back on March 28th. The Grizz went 4-5 in the last 9 regular season games under Iisalo. That can be a little misleading because look who the Grizzlies played during that time. All those teams are in the playoffs now, and some of them are doing very well. Led the Grizz to the play-in tourney and a win against Dallas. They just blew Dallas out here at home in front of a very raucous crowd. We got to hear Whoop That Trick once and for the final time in FedEx Forum for the 24-25 season. And in 2023-24, when he was in Europe, in France, he was the Euro Cup champion and coach of the year. And he coached in Finland, his native country, Germany and France for 10 years, from 2014 to 2024. He is now in Memphis, where the Grizzlies played a pretty penny to get him. They paid his exit fee to get out of his contract over in Europe, got him here. He had a choice, basically. He could go to Washington with the Wizards as head coach or be an assistant with the Grizzlies. And he, as a lot of some coaches do, I will put it this way, say, look, that's kind of a no-win situation. You're in a rebuilding situation in D.C. where you come to Memphis, you got a team that's ready to compete. He decided to come in and sit in the second chair with Tay, as I like to call him, who he's no longer with us, thank goodness. I'm not going to say thank goodness. He is off on his own after the Grizzlies released him. But now he is the main man. Tuomas Iisalo is the main man in charge of the Grizzlies. And at the Grizz exit interviews, he talked about the offseason approaching, which is now here, and some of the things that he has to do. And he talked a little bit about the end-of-season challenges facing him and the team as it gets set to go into this offseason.
Yeah, like you said, the situation, we had 15 games and 2 practices. That's a ratio that makes it very difficult, and we were in a situation that obviously there were no drastic changes that we needed to make or could be made in that situation. We opted for smaller variations, which I think were somewhat successful, especially in the half court. And I think it's more in terms of those for the future, also for potential future, where we were able to, I think, highlight the strengths of our primary ball handlers, and also Zach Edey in that situation. And there's a lot of stuff, obviously, that comes through practice and developing a functional collective that are only possible to do with a longer time frame.
Yeah, the two things out of that highlight the strengths of our primary ball handlers. That, guys, means John Morant. And we saw John Morant be much more focused in that time while Iisalo was the head coach, DeMichael.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest developments and takeaways when Iisalo took over. He said he didn't say specifically, John Morant's name, but he said that we're going to kind of feature some of our key guys more. And two guys that we saw directly benefit from that was not only just John Morant, but Zach Edey was the other one. And it was those two kind of worked in pairing, right? His emphasis on pick and rolls and things like that. Zach Edey, his roles shifted from they played more to his strengths. It wasn't just low post touches, making him shoot, 12-foot hook shots that looked uncomfortable for him and things like that. It was just rim running to the hard screen, get to the basket. A lot of his scoring was just put back dunks, easy layups, duck ins, things like that. Things that were very easy for the role that Iisalo wanted him to play. And then, of course, Ja Morant. He unlocked the best version of Ja, which was something we didn't see much of this season. So, he gets credit for those two things. But the other thing that he said that's important is the ratio, 15 games, 2 practices. And it makes me very intrigued to see how much different this team will look when that looks like 15 practices, no games, when you get to preseason and things like that.
Yeah, and he came here with I think his last club that he won a championship with. They emphasized guards, speedy guards that can get to the hole, and other guys, some big people that can clear the way for them, and that's hopefully that's a little bit more of what we're going to see going forward. What do you think?
When to both of the points that you guys made, he has a chance now to kind of relax and breathe, take a step back. It was a gauntlet that he faced coming down the stretch, but I'm not going to give him a pass on that. Like, the schedule is the schedule, right? You knew that was the schedule when you said, all right, I'll take over, right? You knew it was going to be a limited amount of practice times, and, you still had those games at home. Like, you're going to be expected to beat Golden State, the Los Angeles Lakers, and I can't remember the third team we saw in that 3 straight games. It was
OKC.
Timberwolves was at
Minnesota,
home.
yeah,
You're going to have to
Minnesota
beat these teams. Like, no matter where they are on your schedule, whether they're back-to-back or spread out, you're going to have to beat these teams next year. You're not going to get a grace period. Like, you're going into this job having to win those games. So I get it. And, again, the 15, it's a great soundbite, like 15 games, 2 practices. Yeah. But the truth is, man, look, you have extended shoot-arounds. You have opportunities where you could have practiced and you didn't. All of those kind of things. And you got to juggle rest versus what your guys were going through. A lot of that at the end of the season was about mental, strength and what they had to get to. But I'm glad he gets to wipe the slate clean right now, and he gets to start his own way.
Yeah, it's really tough coming in off the bench, when you were the second chair and Taylor Jenkins had been there and got him to this point, and then here you go. Now you're the one that's got to take over. He's already got kind of a voice in the players' heads, but now he's got to build his own culture. He's got to work in what his philosophy is, and he had mentioned this is really a tough city, and they want tough players, and how do you build that culture now that Tuomas Iisalo is the main voice speaking? Well, he had a few things to say about that as well.
Every club and every city has their own culture, and I think it's very important that you are true to the roots of that city. This city is a hard-working city. The club has roots in that. It has to be based on this of giving everything you have. I've always believed in that, and that is not only me. That is also, if you look at the mega trends overall in team invasion sports all across the world, all of these sports, they're going in a direction where players are having a higher work rate. The second thing is the collective. So reaching for the best team success through everybody doing their job within the collective, and I think the pieces are definitely there. And I think these two things, and just having a very process-oriented and competitive program.
I take that to mean he ain't taking no bulls. You know what I mean? When you hit the floor, you better be coming out there running and gunning and doing everything that the city basically. We saw and we've seen going back to the pyramid days and now to here. these people in Memphis demand you get out there and hustle your butt off. You get after, you chase loose, you're diving, you're doing whatever you have to do. And any of that other stuff, we had a Hall of Famer here in Pau Gasol. Even he got kind of lambasted for that at the beginning because he was playing the more, I'm talented. Well, not that he wasn't talented. He's very talented. I'm talented, but I'm not the kind of physical guy that he needs. He needs physical guys around him. Well, I think going forward, what do you think, Mike? You'll see more physical guys on this, or more physical play. That's what I'm expecting.
I think his style breeds that, right? When he took over Zach Edey, it was funny the way he said it. He sounded like a football player. He said he's allowing me to just kind of like headhunt guys, like just go out there and hit people.
Yeah, he's your left tackle.
Or your defensive tackle, depending on how you look at it. But
he's setting the edge out there.
but he gets to be as physical as he wants. With Iisalo. But here's a thing to me too that's different about him taking over. It's not that he doesn't have any ties to Taylor Jenkins really previously. Before this. He doesn't have any real NBA strong ties before this. So this is kind of a clean slate. He has a chance when he takes over and implements his own things. He has a chance to completely revamp this thing the way he wants it to look. Even if you go down to the assistants, if he retains a lot of the guys that are currently here, guess what? Many of them haven't been here for long. I mean, Jason Marsh, has been here over the course of grit and grind and things like that. But if you look at a lot of the assistants, many of them were hired the last 2 years.
Yeah. Right.
Like if you go to the lead assistants from the 2021-2022 season, 56-win season, the 51-win team, all of them are gone. Every one of them. So he has a chance to kind of put his own touch onto this team. And that physicality brand, that's something that Memphis is used to seeing. And if you look at his play style, that's something we probably should continue to expect from the Grizzlies as well.
Yeah, when I looked at, when I heard that clip from when he talked about those, those things about establishing what he wants to establish, I heard 3 C's. Last year it was about the 3 P's, right? It was pace, possession, and principles, right? I heard Tuomas mention, culture, embracing the culture that this city represents. I also heard him talk about doing it collectively, as these guys having to lean into what makes them special and triggering each other's strength, right? That's why the pick and roll worked so well, because it brought the best out of both Ja Morant and Zach Edey. They worked as a collective, and that's what he's going to try to do with the rest of the roster as well. And then that third C was compete. You got to be competitive at every single level. So, one of the things that Ja Morant talked about is how, man, he looks at his coaching matchup the same way that I look at my point guard matchup.
Right.
And if I can win, if he can win the coaching matchup, then I got to go out and win my battle and my matchup. So saying those things and putting these things in place are all important, but it goes back to holding guys accountable. Can you have the voice? And he's a soft-spoken guy. He's a pragmatic communicator. Can he get in somebody's anus and say, look, this is it, or you're going to go to the bench? It's easy to do that to G.G. Jackson, right? It's easy to do that to Vince Williams Jr., but if one of your core 5 or 6 guys isn't doing it, are you going to hold them accountable? That's how you establish a culture, and we'll see if he can do that.
Well, getting in someone's anus, as you say, well put there. Very well played. Very well played. That is a part of the body that, anyway, it's above the feet and below the head. But when you talk about doing that, I think we saw that with Luke Kennard late in the season. He put him on the bench because he wasn't doing what go shoot the ball. He wasn't shooting. So we saw him say, okay, if you don't do this, then this will happen. And he's going to have that tough love, or whatever you want to call it, with players like Ja, with players like Jaren. You can't flail. You can't the fouls you got to stop. Ja, you can't complain about, okay, you don't get a call. Get back down court. Maybe you get it the next time. But, those things have to be done, and that respect has to come from the first chair on the bench. And, you have to do that by building those relationships with the players where they can take that tough love. They can take that tough criticism. And you got to be that voice that says, look, I'm saying this, and you're going to do it. And if you don't do it, you will be sitting here next to me watching somebody else do it. And having that relationship with the players, he obviously did in winning a championship over in Europe that he did in France. And he wants to have that relationship with the players here. Here's what he had to say about that.
Yeah, those are conversations that obviously happen, throughout the year. And I've always believed that players will respect you if you're able to help them. If you're able to help them improve, they will even listen to the hard truths most of the time. And I would believe we are in a very good standing with most of the players, all of the players, and especially with the core three. But that's a question that you would have to ask them, because my relationship with them is great.
Yeah, he says his relationship with them is great, and of course we heard the players, and we'll hear from them in a second about that. But just being able, as Michael said, being able to make those tough statements and then expect that to be done. Whether you're a parent, a teacher, or a coach, or whatever, you got to have that.
Yeah, he's got to come out and set the tone early in training camp, early in preseason, even now. Set them early in the exit meetings, right? When you talk to these players about what you want to see this upcoming season, and Mike was right. He is kind of a softer spoken guy than Taylor Jenkins was. Like they're different personalities as coaches, and the players will adjust to that. But at the same time, it seems like he's still demanding in a different way, just listening to the players. So that's going to be interesting to see how he kind of puts his imprints on this, because you talk about those core guys. Most of them only had one coach.
Right.
Jaren had one season of another coach, but Ja Morant's only had one NBA coach. Desmond Bane has only had one other NBA coach. And then if you sprinkle down the roster, for the most part, a lot of these guys who only been in Memphis, Taylor Jenkins is all they've known. So it's a different thing for them. But yeah, I'm interested to see how he kind of puts his imprint on that, because with Taylor Jenkins, it felt like, from my perspective, it felt like it took a while. And Taylor Jenkins talked about how over the years how his relationship grew with Ja Morant and Desmond Bane, and they were able to have those uncomfortable conversations, as he used to call them. And in the last 2 years specifically, you saw Des talk about it. You saw Ja talk about it. You saw Taylor talk about, we're at a point now we can be, a little bit more declarative in some of the conversations that we're having. So you just wonder how long it's going to take Iisalo to get to that point, because they need it now.
And of course, Finland was a neutral country back during all the conflict and all that stuff. And Iisalo seems like a soft-spoken guy, but is he that guy that can maybe soft-spoken on the look, but carries that big stick? To speak softly, carry the big stick. You think he can be that guy?
I'm not sure, right? I wish I could say yes, definitely, but there's a different nature that comes with coaching international and European, leagues than it is in the NBA.
Yeah, they practice NBA, a lot more than they do here. They
practice a lot more. Their season is more spread out. They're not on the plane playing back-to-backs and all of those kind of things. And it's not a player-driven league for the most part, right? It's more of a coach-driven league. That model is more like our college model, where the coach is the dominant person, right? In the NBA, you're dealing with players with their attitudes. You're dealing with agents. You're dealing with, hangers-on.
And they make a lot more money than you do.
They make a lot more money. They're already their own individual brands.
Right.
So those relationships are very important, right? They're very, very important. And what you have here is a coach that will have to learn that on the fly. Like, he is brilliant when it comes to basketball, X's and O's, and how to get people in the right position. But can you get inside people's mind of an NBA player who's already, again, making a maximum contract and
got shoe deals
and has an attitude issue, right? And I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but that's just the way it is. So building those relationships are going to be important. And Iisalo, either if he can't do it with a stronger voice, it's going to be very, very important that he hires an assistant or an assistant staff of proven guys that have been around the league that can have that voice. You see a Sam Cassell on some benches. You see, a Nate McMillan on some benches. Some guys that have been around the league and had that kind of experience. So that's going to be important if he doesn't have that voice right away. I think he can get it. But this is also about Jaren and potentially Ja and Jaren and potentially Dez finally having their own voice. It's got to be their team from that standpoint.
Relationships is a two-way street. You can be the one guy you're the head coach, and what I say goes, and if it doesn't go my way, highway, but the guys on the other end, the players have got to be the one, okay, yeah, coach, we get it, we understand. Or they're able to take criticism and come back. And, with Ja and Jaren, Dez, and even the rookies who are coming up, they have to believe in what he says. And judging from the exit interviews, everybody seemed to be pretty much on the same page because Iisalo has been there for a year. So they already know this guy. It's not like some guy walking in off the street. And here's a little bit about what the players themselves had to say about how the relationship with their new head coach may go.
Coach is a good coach. I feel like Tuomas is a good coach. For me, like going into my film sessions with him or just talking, about the game of basketball, seeing and hearing that he sees the, same thing, I see out there on the floor. I wouldn't say it's been surprising, but it's been very exciting because we continue to just pick each other's brain and trying to find, the best solution for us, offensively to be good at, what we want and what we want to do. He's a big-time competitor. How I take on, my matchups, how I go about, who we're playing. He does the same thing with the opposing head coach. So I feel like that's all good signs in a coach, somebody who's, want to go to war with you. He holds everybody accountable, but he also, instills all the confidence in you. So
he was great. I mean, he was just figuring everything out on the fly, which is something he's really good at. And I mean, there's obviously differences with Taylor being gone, and he was amazing too. So I mean, they were great. They were both great in their own way, and they made the most of the staff that they had and the situation they had to get us to that, to that level, at that point where we were competing. And the result was what it was for both stretches of games when we were losing. But I mean, the flashes that we had that were positive are what I'm leaning on to have more of with if you give Tuomas like more time and stuff like that.
He's a coach that installed confidence in me, trust in me. And I feel like once he got the job, I kind of, took off. He just installed, like I said, confidence and trust in me, and just allowed me to go out there and play free, go out there, be myself. Wasn't really worried about the minutes. Wasn't really worried about if I'm doing this right or this wrong. And I feel like he just got the best out of me. So, nothing but good things to say about Tuomas.
That's really something with, Scotty saying that, because if you look at the impact on the team that Coach Iisalo had, Ja posted his highest scoring average in April at 30.2 points per game. That's a pretty healthy average, if you ask me. Also, Ja's been a great player in the playoffs. When the stars usually, if you're a star, your average goes up in the postseason. Ja's did. Rookie Zach Edey averaged 9.1 points, 12.3 rebounds in the last 10 games. He got to play a lot more minutes, and he showed what he could do under Iisalo. And Scottie Pippen Jr., I mean, as Doc Holliday was out, salute and clap. I mean, that kid was just really a total find at 15.8 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, 3.5 assists. He had 6 postseason starts and was a competent point guard for the team. It looked like somebody that you could count on going forward. And, if you can pull that out of the guys, you were able to give. Now, I really like Taylor Jenkins. I'm going to say that. I was a Taylor Jenkins fan, but at some point down the end of the season, there became a disconnect of some sort. And we saw when Tuomas took over, they did lose some games, but that margin was a lot tighter than it was, and they looked a lot better. And you got to say that if these guys can come together under that one voice, the Grizzlies could indeed still have something that the Memphians would be proud of.
Yeah, that's what it'll come down to, right? Like, you got to bring these guys together. You got to bring the best out of the best players. And now the challenge, I mean, you list some names of some good players right there, but now the challenge is doing the same thing you did with Ja, with Jaren Jackson Jr., doing the same thing you did with Scottie Pippen with Desmond Bane, because those are guys who have to be focal points. And you want to talk about the Taylor Jenkins era. It was very rare that we saw the core 3 guys, Desmond Bane, Ja Morant, and Jaren Jackson Jr., all being maximized at the same time. It's funny because, to me, the best time that we saw it was kind of the lost season. During the 2023-2024 season, I think they had 5-6 consecutive games where all of them scored 20-plus in each of those games in a row. But that was the only time that ever happened. So it happened in the one season where, all the injuries took over and all of that.
Well, then they got to be on the court at the same. 44 of 88 games they played this year.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like,
together.
I want to see, what is the minutes distribution going to be like? Because maybe he played, those similar rotations early on because that's, he was just taking over for Taylor and, kind of didn't want to change too much. But towards the end of the season, I got the hunch at least. Maybe it was because it was the postseason and you were getting close, but he was playing like 8 guys.
Yeah.
And then
It tightened up.
Yeah, he tightened it up real tight. And I mean, and I think, maybe we see, like Ja inch towards 33 minutes a game, next season, or Jaren Jackson Jr. if he stays out of foul trouble, his minutes going. We saw, you mentioned with Zach Edey. Zach Edey played 30 minutes per game for the first time in April. Any month before that, he wasn't even close.
He showed he could do it.
Yeah, and he showed he could do that in college. Like, endurance was one of the strengths of Zach Edey's game, and we finally saw the Grizzlies kind of give him that leeway. So I think there are a lot of changes that could be in store because we only got to see pieces of it. But the biggest thing when you talk about how his coaching, arc will be kind of viewed, it's going to be centered around maximizing those 3 guys, Desmond Bane, Ja Morant, and Jaren Jackson Jr. at the same time. That's something that we just didn't really see much under Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah, and so, I'm telling you, you touched on a lot of things there that go right into our next segment, which we call the 24-second validation. What is next for the Grizzlies as an organization? Who do they focus on? Is it coaches? He's got 3 positions now he's got to fill. Assistants. One of those, I think, is his own. He's got to put more people in. What is that climate? And what is the next biggest thing for the Grizzlies in this offseason? The 24-second clock, and we're going to go with DeMichael Cole. You are first up to have your thoughts on what do the Grizzlies have to do? What is the next most important thing? 24 seconds on the clock. CJ, you got it in there. Go.
You got to go get some experience, players who've been playoff battle tested. There will be some names out there. You're looking at some teams in the playoffs right now. There are going to be some guys that can't be paid. I'm looking at guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who in Minnesota's kind of not playing well right now, but he's proven that he can play well. There are other guys on other teams that didn't make the playoffs. Go get some experienced players to put around the core guys.
All right, man. Time to spare. Got that
right
shot off
on
and
time.
in.
Right on
and
time.
good.
Yeah.
All right, we go with the great Michael. Goodness gracious, Michael, I cannot believe that you are the greatest person in the world coming in here with a 24-second, and you have to tell us what you think coming after what DeMichael Cole said. Michael, it's your turn. You got 24 seconds on the clock. Go.
All right. With Iisalo's hiring now official, the Grizzlies' next offseason priority should be rounding out his staff with a certified NBA assistant proven coach that he can bring in to be a voice of reason, to be a voice that has spoken with NBA players before, to be a veteran voice out there. There are a lot of guys out there who have NBA coaching experience that can join this staff. That needs to be the next priority.
All right, man. You got it in just like
like that.
there.
I
You
like
just
that.
jumped it in.
Yeah.
But you both touched on the assistant coaches. Goodness gracious, it's my turn now. What do I say? CJ, start the clock. Hit it. Okay, I can take a few seconds because I agree with you guys. He's got to have somebody on the bench. They're going to have to go out there and find someone. Now, they got somebody on the bench that's been with the organization for a while, and I do think it makes sense to have that tie through time in Jason March. I think he is a guy that has a good voice and has a good relationship with the players, but who that next person or who those 3 will be, we will find out. How about that? Getting it in under the buzzer. Great job, guys, with that. All right, that's it for the first segment here on Grizz Beat. When we come back, we're going to go around the NBA, talk playoff acts. Boy, some great games. We'll talk all about that and more when Grizz Beat continues.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board. A class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GBWR.
Yesterday was the talk of the town. It was a cow on the side of the road.
Do you live close to a movie theater? I'm just curious because maybe the cow was trying to go to the movies.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I got some Cam Ward news for you, by the way.
Let me hear it.
You talk about being able to sell some jerseys. 7 minutes ago at his introductory press conference in Nashville, Warren Moon walks in. I give you permission to wear number 1.
Oh, wow.
He hands him the number 1 jersey.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm going to give you permission to wear number 1. So he's going to have the number 1 Cam Ward jersey.
That's amazing.
We're rocking the Cam Ward number 1 Titans jersey.
That's amazing.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
The other thing that came out this week that we were talking about innovation and Nike and all that, they dropped these $900 hyper boots that
900.
I mean, they're a recovery shoe apparently that you wear after sports, whatever.
Who's buying it? Because all the athletes that we see, they're going to get seated this. So who's going to actually pay $900 for this?
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Hey, Grizz fam, Junior Grizzlies basketball camps presented by Ortho South are back for their best summer yet. Register your 6 to 14-year-old hooper for one of our summer sessions to hone their skills and experience with all the fun and excitement of an NBA team. Campers receive specialized training from Junior Grizzlies coaches and swag packs, including a reversible jersey, full-size basketball, beach towel, socks, and more. Registration is open now for camps all around the Mid-South area, including Memphis, Jonesboro, Little Rock, and Tupelo. Sign up for your Junior Grizzlies basketball camp presented by Ortho South.
And welcome back into Grizz Beat, where this is the segment where we jump around the league, and we got the OG Jarvis Greer, we got the young Supermax right here, DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal, and of course myself right here trying to steer this second segment. In the first place we'll stop though is looking at the NBA postseason bracket. We're well into the second round of the NBA playoffs. And man, it's been a doozy. It's been some great matchups.
Good hoops, man.
When you look at that bracket right there, and then you also right after that, understand that the road teams in the second round are all 5-0.
Man.
So they flipped the entire bracket. Now, home court advantage does not exist anymore. It's been flipped, even with Indiana going up 2-0 on the number 1 seeded Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
Jarvis, I'll start with you, man. When you look at that playoff bracket, what is the one series that jumps out the most? Don't give me 3. Don't set it up by saying, hey, this one, but I'm gonna take this one. Save some meat on that bone for the rest of us here. Give me one series that jumps out so far in the second round.
All right, I'll let it easy for you guys because I'll go with the recent bias.
Yeah.
And that's that Indiana series because, man, who expected them to take 2? Yeah, I know Cleveland is hurt. I know they got some guys out. And, and 7 things went wrong for Cleveland last night, and 7 things went right in the last 57 seconds of that game to allow the Pacers to come out with a victory. And you got a team that won 60 games down 2-0, and now they go on the road for the next 2. I'll say it just jumps out off the page for me right now.
All right, we'll bring the bracket back one more time before we go to DeMichael so you can see what's going on. But I'm sure you already got one in your mind. As you look at the bracket right there, Oklahoma City is down 1-0 to Denver. You got Minnesota's down 1-0 to Golden State. The Celtics down 1-0 to New York. And obviously Jarvis just spoke to the Pacers being up 2-0 on the Cavaliers. What's the series that stands out to you?
It's that one. It's the one with the Denver Nuggets versus the OKC Thunder because you have the battle-tested champions versus the team that has just ran away from the Western Conference this season. But you also have the MVP favorite, who's most likely Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the likely MVP. Versus after one game, a lot of people were saying, "Did we get it right?"
Because the ballots are in. The ballots are already in.
We've seen this before with Jokic. Like he gets a lot of voter fatigue too because when Embiid won it and then Jokic, I think won the championship the same year. So it's like, did we get it right? I mean, the ballots are in, like you said, but it's just that battle. I mean, Jokic is so resilient. Even in the last couple years when he's lost playoff series, it's taken a lot to beat him.
Let me jump in there real quick.
Yeah,
we saw Jokic on the sideline, like he's taking over coaching the team.
Yeah.
And it's like, usually he's kind of a
intense.
mild-mannered guy. He doesn't get too high or low about basketball, but he was out there being very demonstrative and taking it like, look, I'm putting this on my shoulders, and look, guys, you're coming with me. And that's what you got to have out of your superstar. And he is he's a champion. He's won it before. He's won a title before, and that group is basically mostly the same group that won a title.
Yeah,
You're talking about credibility right there. Because I joined CJ and Jessica on the Jessica Benson show earlier this week, right after that game, and I said, if Jokic does that and they end up losing by 12, then it's almost like, man, is he coming unglued? Is there a problem? Is there dissension on the bench, right? They just fired the coach and the GM, and Jokic is losing it. But when you win, man, that underscores your credibility, and now those dudes will run through a brick wall anytime Jokic has something to say because he knows what he's talking about, and that's what goes to the championship credibility. I'm going to see that bracket, and I'm going to go the series on the other side, New York winning against Boston in Boston. And the reason why that's important is because New York basically got swept by Boston in the regular season.
Yes, they did.
All of the games were by double figures. They weren't even one that New York was up by double figures. They ended up squandering the lead and lost. They didn't have a blueprint for what success looked like against Boston. And lo and behold, they went out there and they were the tougher team. They were the more aggressive team. And they came back from double figures on the night when Boston just missed 45 threes. The most threes you can miss.
NBA playoff
They're not going to miss 45 again.
Their superpower failed them.
But having said that, you don't want to play around with these clutch Knicks, man, because those guys are fearless. Jalen Brunson in the third quarter and fourth, and then Mikal Bridges in overtime, man. Those guys are put together to win close games because they don't fear the moment. They don't fear that moment. Absolutely.
I'm going to tell you, that New York team reminded me a lot of that Grizzlies team, that Tony Allen, at the grit and grind at the height of their era, because they never quit and they fought tooth and nail for every single thing, and eventually the worm turned for them up there in Boston. They didn't care that they got swept during the regular season. Hey, this is another game, and they came out and played like it, and they got the victory.
Yeah, they definitely got the victory, and now the teams that are adjusting, we saw the playoff teams. Now we got some teams that are adjusting to new coaching situations. We talked about Tuomas Iisalo getting the interim tag removed from him. Well, that's been the trend so far around the league this offseason, where San Antonio also kept Mitch Johnson. Greg Popovich announced his retirement. Man, 29 seasons of remarkable tenure in San Antonio. Mitch Johnson now takes over. He was in the interim role, had the position while Coach Pop was out with his illness and those kind of things. So he's going to stay there and see the next step of that rebuild of what they're doing in San Antonio. You go to Sacramento, where Doug Christie has held on to the job in Sacramento as well. Neither one of these teams finished with anything overwhelming. They kind of teetered out or petered out towards the end of the season. But the trend has been you keep your interim guy, you keep the continuity, and you move forward. And my guess is that Denver's probably going to do the same thing, when it comes to who they have in the interim position right now, keeping that position because they won the first round series and it seems to be working.
And they look good doing it.
Yeah, when you look at that, are teams missing the boat? Because when you have a Mike Malone out there available, when you have some big names out there like that.
Budenholzer still's out.
Frank Vogel.
Yeah, like Vogel's out there, and then Mike Brown. You know what I mean? Mike Malone. Just go to the Mikes. Mike Malone, Mike Brown.
Well, how come you're still here?
Yeah, you got some guys out there, and again, are teams missing the opportunity to get those two, or is it just playing it safe going with the interim, DeMichael?
I think it's playing it safe. Keeping that continuity is a big part of it. And San Antonio was very interesting to me because I felt like San Antonio, with the situation they're in, they're so uniquely built for the future. They could have probably poked a coach, an acting head coach from somewhere else, because you got Victor Wembanyama probably for the next 10, 15 years. We'll see how it plays out. But they are in a unique situation, and they promoted Mitch Johnson. So that situation really stood out to me. But yeah, I think that's kind of what everyone is leaning on. And it's noteworthy because to me, this group of available coaches is one of the best in the last 5 years. You got a lot of guys who've won championships, who've been to championships that are available right now. So maybe those guys will sit out, wait till next year, maybe you can get him to be one of those assistant jobs you were talking about.
That's true.
earlier.
That's a good point.
Did Mike
That's a good
Brown
point.
just sign with somebody?
No.
He's still
Mike
he's
Brown's
still
out
as an
there.
assistant. I thought he was signed with somebody on somebody's.
You got,
but
man, you got some names.
Yeah, and like San Antonio, as you mentioned, you never want to be the guy coming after the man. I mean,
Yeah.
Greg Popovich is the man in San Antonio. But there's been enough time where they had their big heyday.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, 18 50-win seasons. I remember we went out there for our first playoff series with the Grizzlies, going out there and seeing all those 50-win banners hanging in what was it, AT&T Center there in San Antonio. But there's been enough time that's gone by, and then plus Pop had the stroke, so he missed basically the whole season. There's been enough time so Mitch Johnson can slide in there, and I think now the trend is going with these guys that you already have on, because these other coaches, they got championship experience or they've had deep play, but they're recycled, and they're recycled for a reason. And I think now the trend is to go, okay, well, let's go with the new person, see what they got and what they'll give to the program. But it's really it's really a good question to see, because those guys are still out there hanging around.
For sure.
All you got to do is slip up, and I might slide in.
And here's the thing: the last thing you want to do, and for your coaching career, is win NBA Coach of the Year. That shelf life doesn't last long, right?
Right now,
Yeah,
right?
because both of those guys were recent coaches of the year, and this year's NBA Coach of the Year. It just tells you how far that award gets you. Kenny Atkinson of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Coach of the Year, freshly minute Coach of the Year, and as soon as he wins it, they go out and lose, and now they're down 0-2.
It's like the Sports Illustrated jinx.
It's the jinx, right?
If you're on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Down 0-2 now against the Indiana Pacers. Beyond that, Sam Presti with Oklahoma City has been named NBA Executive of the Year, well-deserved. And you just have to, I guess when you look at these two guys, and Drew Holiday won the Social Justice Award as well, too. So those are the three that are out right now.
Well-deserved.
But when you look at, Sam Presti's Executive of the Year or Kenny Atkinson's Coach of the Year, and I'll let each one of you guys take one, which one stands out most about that accomplishment? And as you look forward, like moving forward from it, which guy is best suited right now to continue that success that they have?
You want me to start?
Yeah,
I'll start. I think Sam Presti's well-suited because he's been good for a long time. I'm surprised this is his first Executive of the Year award. And if you look at it, I think we talked about, the Grizzlies are 26th in payroll for this past season in the NBA. And we know where the Grizzlies finished. They were second for a while, and they dropped down to 8th.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City ran away with the division, 16 games ahead of everybody else. They are 25th in payroll. They got a lot of guys still on their rookie deals, and he's put the pieces together to make a really good team. No matter what happens to them in the rest of the playoffs, they've already made a stamp that's saying that they are a team to be reckoned with. So, and Kenny Atkinson, there were several guys I think could have won Coach of the Year. My personal favorite was the coach at Detroit because, and then I got to know him a little bit.
Oh,
when he was
JB,
here, JB.
Absolutely.
And I thought that was a much bigger job, winning 14 games to 44 or whatever they finished with. Nobody has ever done that in the history of the NBA. And when you do something that nobody else has done, I think that should carry some weight. But, they won the West, did the Cavs, the East rather, and Atkinson was the head coach, and that usually follows with the award.
Yeah, with Presti, I think what's interesting to me, what I'll watch is kind of what did he learn from the first time, right? The first time when you had James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant. And when they lost in that finals, you remember it as well as anybody might.
Yeah, I was right there. I was right there at Oklahoma City when that was happening.
When they lost, the message I remember at that time was, "Oh, they'll be back. They're fine. They'll be back. They'll be back." They never got back.
Right.
They never got back. So how is he going to build a team that can, be better suited to get there and continue to stay around it? That's what I want to see. But with Kenny Atkinson, what was notable as it pertains to him is he's been a head coach before, and he's been around a lot of different guys. And I didn't know what to really expect when he took over and got this job. But I mean, offensively is where they really took off, and he unlocked them to a whole nother level. They kind of took on the embodiment of a lot of JB Bickerstaff teams. Defensively, very tough-minded and things like that. Detroit was that way. Memphis, when he was here, was that way as well. But Cleveland, I mean, I didn't even know they were capable of going to those levels offensively that Kenny Atkinson has done. But, I mean, you hit on it, Mike. Now it's like, how do you sustain this? Because this is the expectation now.
Yeah.
And they're going to get very expensive with Evan Mobley being
when it kicks in. Yep.
Defensive Player of the Year, All NBA. So he's going to get that Supermax rookie scale extension. The price tag's going up in Cleveland, so it's about to be some changes made around there as well.
It's going to be tough to sustain that. One thing that I feel bad about with Cleveland is that they get banged up at the worst time of the year.
At the worst time.
Last year was Jared Allen with the
Yep.
rib, and now they're banged up, and now they're down 0-2. If they fall flat and lose this series to the Pacers, which they seriously could do, it's got to be considered the best regular season to postseason epic fail that we've seen, right? In terms, because I mean they were 60+ wins, 64 wins.
It's like the 2015 Hawks in the OS.
And you know what? Atkinson coached the Hawks. He was there. He was around there. You know, he had a stretch with the Hawks there. One thing I will say about Presti, though, before we move on, is this. The thing about Presti that's impressive, you said what's different about this time, is that all of their assets aren't in 3 guys anymore. They're spread out. This guy still has an assortment of first-round picks that they can partner and pair. What he learned is that, look, my owner didn't want to pay James Harden last time, and it cost us. That won't happen this time because I have assets. If we need to shift younger, we can still shift younger. They can kick the tire down the road in terms of paying big guys. You know, Jalen Williams still won't get paid for another 2 years. You see what I'm saying? I mean, another 2. He's already an all-star.
That's wild to think.
So when you think about that, Chet Holmgren is still 3 years away or 2 years away from a payday.
2 years away.
You know what I mean? So they can be this good for another couple years and still have one of the lowest payrolls in the league, which is how you do it. That's a master class in terms of putting together a team, which is why he won Executive of the Year, and he probably will win it again as they continue to do. Because we didn't even mention the trades to bring in Hardenstein and also Caruso. I mean, that's
ball
crazy.
Head boy with the headband.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. What's also crazy is that Draymond Green is the gift that continues to give, and as long as Dillon Brooks is somewhere in the league, Draymond Green has a target, and they love to go at each other. In the latest Draymond Green episode of his podcast, he talked about Dillon Brooks having poor sportsmanship at the end of that Rockets Warriors series. And take a listen to what Draymond said, and he brought up some old wounds, too, that had Grizzlies ties to it as well.
Dillon Brooks ran off the court. So when I say you see what guys is made of, he ran off the court, like, ain't shake nobody up. And you admitted that you was trying to hurt Steph Hand, which again, fine by me, bro. Like, I get it. We all get it when you hoop. You know what I'm saying? So if you're gonna be on that type of time,
he gotta be on that time
in the press
he gotta
conference,
be on that time all the time.
You're gonna be talking, you're gonna be Mr. Big Bad Wolf. Don't lose and then not face the music. Don't be that guy, because again, you lose a lot of respect for guys in that moment. I had a moment with Dillon Brooks back when he was with Memphis, and I said the dynasty start after you. And the reason I said that is because things like that. Because, bro, so then guess what? Then Tari Eason do it. He lead the court. I got love for Tari Eason. His mom was talking, you know what I'm saying? My mom almost had to get out
you
of
got a lot of, man, you shouted him out earlier in the year, though.
Absolutely. I got a lot of love for the way he played. And I ended up catching him right before he was about to walk out the arena, and he was walking this way, so he didn't have to come by me, but I could, in my distance, I could see him right there. I said to him, I like waved him down, and I went and I dapped him up. And that was kind of a little save, but don't be that guy, man. Like, you don't,
you gotta teach him. You gotta teach him.
You lose a series.
You gotta teach him right.
But that's who Dillon Brooks is. You know what I'm saying? And we understand, like, you a sucker, man. You like, but Tari Eason, he not. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, his mom was talking. It's all love. I don't get off into that. I got a lot of love for young fella because the way he go about his business, the way he play the game, I got a lot of love for him. Don't be like that, because you lose respect. When guys lose respect for you in this league, like, it don't matter, and it's going to catch you in the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, Dillon Brooks couldn't come through in this series in large part because nobody on the court respects you. So anything you do, the way it's going to be looked at, the way it's going to be received.
I tell you what, man, listen, I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds each, man. Yeah. Is it a legitimate message, or is it just too distracting because of the messenger?
You know, there is some of that, aha, I got you, in there again when it comes to Draymond and Dillon Brooks. But I think some of the messages is legitimate for sure. I mean, because we were there. He said, I poke bears. I don't respect you until you score 40 on me. And then it was multiple games. You go up to Dillon Brooks after the game, and he didn't want to talk. But then when they won, it's all right. Let me put my shades on. Let's we
put
finna
my
go
bear
viral.
suit on.
But then
My
when
bear jacket. Remember
we
that?
lose, it's like leave me alone. Now I'm gonna know this sort of losing. I hate losing, but like you said, you gotta face the music if you're gonna come out and talk. You gotta walk the walk too.
You got to walk the walk,
I
Jarvis.
don't
You know that
man.
lesson, man. So,
I'm gonna be quick.
Hey, yeah.
Draymond is like that bedpost in the middle of the night when you got to get up and go pee, and your little toe is just waiting to just walk right into it.
Boom.
That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
I will say this, man. Listen, Draymond has a great point, right? It's just funny that it keeps coming from Draymond.
Yeah, from Draymond.
I don't like that. When you get beat in the playoffs and your season is over, it's hard to show that sportsmanship. Like
Yes,
your instinct is
For
just
sure.
let me get off this court, man.
put
Let me take off
everything
my
into
stuff.
it.
Yeah, and you're not trying to be buddy with anybody.
Yeah.
So I get that part, but you still have to be a professional in that situation. And those two guys, man, they're going to have fodder and content for years as long as they're in the league together.
Bedpost and bear suit. Man.
That's crazy. That's
Bedpost
crazy.
and bear
That's
suit.
crazy. So, hey, we got one more segment to go. When we come back to Grizz Beat, we have a special video that we're going to show you about the Grizzlies and what they're doing for the girls in the Hoop Summit through Nike, and also a look at what's up next on the Grizzlies calendar for the next 3 months when we come back to Grizz Beat.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Yesterday was the talk of the town. It was a cow on the side of the road.
Do you live close to a movie theater? I'm just curious because maybe the cow was trying to go to the movies.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I thought Penny was smart to handle this the way he handled it. He expressed frustration with the system, the chaotic nature of it. The price hike on eggs ain't got nothing on the price hike on basketball players. The same dude who cost you $150,000 last summer is costing you $500,000 right now. I understand his sentiment, but he stopped well short of criticizing PJ Haggerty.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
The other thing that came out this week that we were talking about innovation and Nike and all that, they dropped these $900 hyper boots. That
900.
I mean, they're a recovery shoe apparently that you wear after sports, whatever.
Who's buying it? Because all the athletes that we see, they're going to get seeded this. So who's going to actually pay $900 for this?
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Wow, can you believe it? 25 years of the Grizzlies in Memphis. Experience the historic 25th season of Grizzlies basketball in the Bluff City by becoming a season ticket member today. Achieve MVP status and receive exclusive benefits, savings, and event access. Now, for more information on how you can get your Grizz season tickets, visit grizzlies.com/season tickets or call the number 901-888-HOOP. That's 901-888-HOOP. All right, back in studio here at 191 Beale Street. We're going to talk about what's next for the Memphis Grizzlies right now. A lot of things coming up on the calendar this month. Jaren Jackson Jr., he is up for All-NBA. Will he make it? First, second, or third team? Plus, Zach Edey and Jalen Wells, they are on the All-Rookie first team. Will they be? I'm projecting they will be. Jalen Wells already was third in the balloting for Rookie of the Year, and you know Zach Edey's got to be up there because he was up there all year. In June, June, next month, the Grizzlies own picks number 48 and 56 in the NBA draft. Look for Zach Kleiman to do some wheeling and dealing, as he has done in every draft and part of his career as general manager with the Grizzlies. So could they move up? Will they get those picks, or will they package them and trade? We'll see. Coming up in July, Coach Tuomas Iisalo, Summer League. Will he coach them? And will Edey and Wells play? Jalen Wells has already said he wants to play. Will Zach Edey play? We will see. And in August, the Grizzlies will be anxiously awaiting to see what the 25-26 season schedule looks like. It will be released in August. And, of course, that is the 25th season of the Memphis Grizzlies right here in Memphis. What stands out on the calendar? What are you most looking forward to, DeMichael?
I'm always looking forward to Summer League because it's such a good opportunity to see the progression in some of the younger players. And in the Grizzlies side, like with Zach Edey and Jalen Wells, it's going to be very important because they're likely to be starters. And I wrote about this lately because with each player, it's something specifically that I want to see that takes their game to the next level. Jalen Wells, the playmaking aspect, right? You know, he talked about it in his exit interviews. He didn't get a lot of chances to play in pick and roll and do a lot of that. That's the next step for him. And you know, when he got the right wrist injury, he started working more with his left hand. So I want to see him take that next step as a playmaker, and they're going to give him, you know, those opportunities as he gets older. So taking advantage of those opportunities. And then, of course, with Zach Edey, you know, everyone's going to focus on the agility and, you know, playing out on the perimeter defensively and like that. But to me, it's offensively in the low post being more efficient. I mean, I was looking at the numbers. And if you talk about in the paint, outside of the restricted area, paint shot attempts outside of the restricted area, he shot 39% this past season. Okay. And for comparison's sake, Jaren was around 51%, and then a couple players that people like to compare him to, Ivica Zubac, Jonas Valanciunas. Zubac was around 53% on non-restricted area paint touches, and then Valanciunas was at about 51% too. So you got 53%, 51%. Zach Edey as a rookie, 39%. That's got to improve.
No, that's a great point right there. And that's basically what you're saying is he has to get a soft floater.
Yep.
A sky
exactly.
hook. Anything but a dunk and a putback, right?
Exactly.
You got to expand it a little bit from that standpoint. We already know he's not afraid to shoot threes. He can shoot.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of getting his touch and his footwork right to put himself in position of that. I'll also add Cam Spencer. Has to be a part of that mix too, because I think he'll be in position to take the Scottie Pippen jump, meaning that he'll go from a two-way to a roster spot next year, because he's one of those dogs, as Zach Kleiman talked about. He plays so hard. He's like his brother, man. His brother is just all over the place.
His brother's out there throwing running hook shots last night.
What I'm looking most forward to is the next thing that comes up in a couple more weeks. Will Jaren Jackson Jr. be All-NBA? Likely, if he's a candidate for third team. If he doesn't make it, then that sets up the next step in terms of what the Grizzlies are doing on their spreadsheet in terms of finances and how they approach the rest of the summer. So that's a big time linchpin decision that has to come in about 2 weeks when they announce the All-NBA team. So that's the next one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, really quickly on the Cam Spencer thing, you know, I think that the way that Coach Iisalo talked about him, that Zach Kleiman talked about him, he called him a grizzly bear. He didn't just call him a dog; he called him a grizzly bear. So I think that's, you know, he's going to slide into that spot that the Grizzlies want in a shooter off the bench. You know, somebody and
if you lose Kennard, if Kennard moves on, that's right there waiting for him.
And you know, it may be a microwave kind of thing. Okay, you come in, you know, he's going to shoot it. You know, he's going to get a shot up. If he's on, great. If he's not, go back to the bench.
Well, he also will defend, though. That's the thing. He'll go get you some 50-50 balls.
He can make plays because he's a guy. He called him a grizzly bear, did Zach Kleiman, because he's going to be all over the place.
And he'll play hard.
He says he'll down the court.
Yeah,
he plays like it.
That's it. That's exactly it. Yeah.
He plays like
that's exactly it.
Basketball means everything to him. He has said that, and the other players. Ja even said the guy's psycho. I mean, I think that's the players what they call. So, but we will see. We shall see what we shall see in that regard. You know, we talked a little bit earlier. We had to talk about the one of our spots we did here is the Grizzlies are doing a junior Grizzlies camp. Well, they're teaming up with Nike, are the Grizzlies, for a big Hoop Summit girls camp that's coming up this summer. It's going to be right here at the Forum, and we want to talk about right now, we want to take a look at what the Grizzlies, how they're going to put this on, and what that mean for the young women in our community who want to go out and hoop. Take a look.
Welcome to the 7th Annual Girls Summit presented by Nike.
Eyes up, eyes up, eyes up. Good job. Coaching about 250 girls to, learn about different sports.
They're doing basketball, rugby, dance,
in golf.
Nike's also facilitating a sports bra fitting station.
It's about the sport, it's about dance, but it's also about us as humans coming into our own, and how do we support young people in doing that?
Take your time, stay low, stay low. Good job, good job, good job.
It was fun to meet another girls basketball player. I've seen her highlights and stuff. She got a lot of aura.
You got it, come on. Square. Sports, it teaches them so many life skills, you know, how to be a leader, how to be outspoken, obviously using your voice, especially at this age that they're in right now, is really important.
It's an age of exploration where they're learning a lot about themselves and kind of starting to get an idea of what they're interested in. To be a representation of a Black woman in a non-traditional sport, being able to be their first experience of rugby is really special for me.
Yeah, the Girls Summit will be coming back to Memphis and the Grizzlies this year. You know, I've had a daughter that grew up playing youth sports, and it's something awesome to see her go out. She's a much stronger woman right now because of it. You get to experience the things the guys do. And we've had a great experience with you guys here in studio today. DeMichael Cole of the Commercial Appeal, D-Money, D-Mike, DC, all the nicknames right there.
Oh, yeah.
It's great having you here as always. And
always good to be here,
you going on vacation now, or you going to be?
I'm going to hang around for a little bit. You know, I got my we got our 10-year high school anniversary coming up, so this is my first one of those.
Okay.
10 years.
Jeez, I got my 50th coming up. Anyway,
and I'm somewhere right in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
and of course, the guru of Grind City Media, Michael Wallace, always great having you. Puts together a great lineup for us every week right here on Grizz Beat, and we will be back next week to talk a whole lot more about the Grizzlies. All these things coming up. You saw the calendar. Keep it locked right here on Grind City Media for more of Grizz Beat next week, 2 p.m. right here. We'll see you then.
That's game. Thanks for running with us for another episode of Grizz Beat. Join us each Wednesday at Grind City Media for all the latest insight and analysis on the Grizzlies.